We are live.
Happy Monday! You made it through another weekend, and I know there's people out there got snow and all kind of stuff, but it's 30 degrees outside this morning. I froze my ass off. So,
Oh yeah, it's really cold out here
yeah.
too.
Before I
And
forget,
yeah,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. No.
Yeah,
Before you forget,
yeah. There's a lot of people that got it a lot worse than I do, though. So I can't bitch too much. But I am old new dude. He is,
Richard York, Asher's trueborn son.
and this is Sansa 2 of the Clash of Kings. Um, Quick shout out to the Valencar. I do apologize. It does not alert me on the phone or the laptop anymore when you leave a comment. So I got behind on because you had like 6 comments that I didn't make a comment on or gave a heart to and all that stuff. So I apologize. So I try to keep track of that. Um,
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and look then. Of course, I don't get notified at all because they're on your
Yeah,
screen.
well, I used to get notified every time somebody left a comment, and it was great. And then for some reason, that shit just went out the window. And for some reason, last night, yeah, it was last night. I'm looking, and I'm like, Valencar, Valencar, Valencar. I was like, oh crap, heart like, heart like, heart like. What can you do, man?
Yeah.
Well, he was making comments on videos that I damn sure can't remember what they were about, so I didn't make a comment on his comment because I didn't want to sound like an idiot. But by the way, yes, I'm an idiot. If you've seen any of these, you know we start with the brains of the operation, which is Richard. He will say what he saw in the chapter, and then I'll jump in with my stupid stuff. And then there was a comment made on the book club Friday night about something that was said, um, and they tried to credit it to me. And I'm like, whoa, 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 no, 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 that wasn't me. That was Richard. I can't remember what it was. You know how my memory is, but I just remember them trying to give me credit, and I'm like, no, 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 that was Richard. So when I say the brains of the operation, I mean it.
Oh, thank you, sir.
So take it away, Richard.
All right, this is the 18th chapter of Clash, Sansa 2. A hound can smell a lie. Come to the Godswood tonight if you want to go home. The words were the same on the 100th reading as they'd been on the first, when Sansa had discovered the folded sheet of parchment beneath her pillow. Life is not a song. When she heard that the imp had sent Lord Slint to the wall, she'd forgotten herself and said, I hope the others get him. The king had not been pleased. As she wished in her 6th chapter, some hero will throw him down and cut off his head.
There you go.
When a fire was blazing in the hearth, Sansa thanked the maid curtly and ordered her out. The girl was quick to obey, as ever, but Sansa decided there was something sly about her eyes. Doubtless she was scurrying off to report to the queen, or maybe Varys. All her maids spied on her, she was certain. Once alone, she thrust the note in the flames, watching the parchment curl and blacken. So I wonder if Sansa's chapters are echoing Catelyn's chapters in game. This is Sansa's 2nd chapter in this book, and this reminds me of Catelyn's 2nd chapter, burning a letter indicating the need for travel because it might be treasonous against Queen Cersei.
Yeah, it's also done in a bedchamber. Both of them.
Yeah, and she sort of represents Catelyn because she's the second wife of Tyrion, and Tyrion is an echo of Ned, and so it makes a lot of sense if there's some ties there.
Before we got started, you mentioned that note. I was like, holy crap, I didn't even catch that. So that was great.
Thank you, sir. Once in a while, Sansa even missed her sister. By now, Arya was safe back in Winterfell, dancing and sewing, playing with Bran and baby Rickon, even riding through the Wintertown if she liked. Sansa was allowed to go riding too, but only in the Bailey, and it got boring going around in a circle all day. She was wide awake when she heard the shouting, distant at first, then growing louder. Many voices yelling together. She could not make out the words. And there were horses as well, and pounding feet, shouts of command. She crept to her window and saw men running on the walls, carrying spears and torches. Go back to your bed, Sansa told herself. This is nothing that concerns you. Just some new trouble out in the city. The talk at the wells had all been of troubles in the city of late. People were crowding in, running from the war, and many had no way to live save by robbing and killing each other. Go to bed. When she looked, the white night was gone, the bridge across the dry moat down but undefended. Sansa turned away without thinking and ran to her wardrobe. Oh, what am I doing? She asked herself as she dressed. This is madness. So Sansa even missed her sister, but more importantly, the old gods might be helping Sansa here.
Yeah. Well,
your argument is this could even be the two chess players going against each other, and that she seems to have this this inner thought. It's the way it's the go to bed is just go to bed. It's as if as if she's trying to getting conflicting ideas thrust into her head.
Right. Well, the first time she says thinks go to bed, I mean, we're told specifically this is a Sansa thought. And then
Right.
I think George does this quite a bit. He baits you into thinking that the next time we hear it, and it's the way it's typed in the book and everything, it's an inner thought. But is it her thought or is it somebody? Because each character, I think, they have two potential paths: the way one player wants her to go, and the way the other player wants her to go. We've seen it in chapters before. That when the thought comes, go to bed, I think that is the other player not wanting her to go to the Godswood, not wanting her to go down the Davos road or Dantos road.
Yeah, it's hard to say. It definitely does seem like there's some conflict at a minimum between like Sansa's thoughts and somebody else's, right? And which way is which is hard to say, or whether there's two people trying to pull strings.
I'm trying to remember the last character I talked about that with, and I can't remember if it was Arya or not, but it was clearly there was two paths, and one of the inner thoughts that wasn't associated with her saying I have a thought was the exact opposite of what it might have been Theon. I can't remember, but go ahead.
Sansa threw a plain gray cloak over her shoulders and picked up the knife she used to cut her meat. If it is some trap, better that I die than let them hurt me more, she told herself. She hid the blade under her cloak. Good for Sansa, and this reminds me of Ygritte and her preferred method of divorcing abusive husbands.
Both kissed by fire.
She glimpsed Sir Preston near the stables with 3 others of the King's Guard, white cloaks bright as the moon as they helped Joffrey into his armor. Her breath caught in her throat when she saw the king. Thankfully, he did not see her. He was shouting for a sword and crossbow. So this is a close encounter of the Joffrey kind.
There you go. And then also LML will definitely tell you that.
Yeah. There's the others and the moon, and they're being associated, and
Yep.
When something brushed against her leg, she almost jumped out of her skin, but it was only a cat, a ragged black palm with a chewed-off ear. The creature spit at her and leapt away. So this definitely sounds like a Skin Changer reference, and we'll talk about that a little bit more here in a second.
Yeah, it's odd that cat is associated with both Arya and Sansa.
Right, and it sure feels like the fact Stevens talks about jumping out of her skin as the cat is there. It really does sound like this. He's letting you know, no, she's got Skin Changer symbolism, and we're going to see much better evidence of that here in a little bit.
Yeah, well, I always put lady being dead would just negate having to see how much skin changing ability or that Sansa has none. And then as the readings keep going on, I'm like, no, there's a lot more there than I originally thought.
And a lot of people, including LML, would tell you the whole little bird thing implies that she's going to be a skin changer.
Yeah. But the first couple times read through, I mean, I guess it's the fact that I didn't enjoy the Sansa chapters like I did some of the other ones. So I got out of it what I put into it.
You weren't looking for it. You weren't looking for it. Now you're starting to look carefully and you're like, oh, wow.
Yeah. There's a lot more there than I originally thought. So that's another reason I love these rereads.
All right. The air was rich with the smells of earth and leaf. Lady would have liked this place, she thought. There was something wild about a Godswood, even here in the heart of the castle, at the heart of the city. You could feel the old gods watching with 1,000 unseen eyes. Sansa had favored her mother's gods over her father's. She loved the statues, the pictures in leaded glass, the fragrance of burning incense, the septons with their robes and crystals, the magical play of the rainbows over altars inlaid with mother of pearl and onyx and lapis lazuli. Yet she could not deny that the gods had a certain power too, especially by night. Help me, she prayed. Send me a friend, a true knight to champion me. So this seems to tie the trees of the old gods to the night, right? Which would sort of imply that the magic of the weirwoods are used to create the long night. And once again, she understands what Lady would have liked, which is another hint that they were pretty strongly bonded, right? But it gets much better. But it gets much better here in a little bit.
Well, I definitely think after Lady was killed, that part of Lady went into Sansa.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And Sansa liked the pomp and stance, I guess that's the correct word, of the seven. She
Yep.
liked all all the little accessories that went along with it and how it looked and how it was perceived. Like she likes the songs of the knights and all that kind of stuff. When it comes down to it, about a feeling and power, she refers to the old god. So I mean, as much Tully as she is definitely Stark, which is why I wore my wolf shirt.
Right. Makes sense. I feared you would not come, child. Sansa whirled. A man stepped out of the shadows, heavy set, thick of neck, shambling. He wore a dark gray robe with the cowl pulled forward, but when a thin sliver of moonlight touched his cheek, she knew him at once by the blotchy skin and web of broken veins beneath. Sir Dantos, she breathed, heartbroken. Was it you? Yes, my lady. When he moved closer, she could smell the sour stench of wine on his breath. Me, he reached out a hand. Sansa shrank back. Don't! She slid her hand under her cloak to her hidden knife. What do you want with me? Only to help you, Dantos said, as you helped me. You're drunk, aren't you? Only one cup of wine to help my courage. If they catch me now, they'll strip the skin off my back. And what will they do to me? Sansa found herself thinking of Lady again. She could smell out falsehood. She could, but she was dead. Father had killed her on account of Arya. She drew the knife and held it before her with both hands. Lady could smell out falsehood. The Hound will echo this thought at the end of the chapter, but the fact that Sansa knew lies when Lady was around is just amazing. And then, of course, you do have another thing where they'll strip the skin off my back. There's more skin changer references here in this chapter again.
There's a ton of them. Also, if you remember when Catelyn comes to King's Landing, she keeps reaching under her cloak to the dagger.
You're
to
right.
reassure herself, to give her courage, to reassure herself that she's on the right path.
Yeah, so it is echoing Catelyn. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's in the second cat, but it's in a cat chapter.
No, it's not. It's not her second one, but I imagine these chapters probably aren't going to line up. But even the Tyrion and Ned ones don't quite line up, right?
Busy.
You think the part of Lady that lives on inside Sansa is like her gut instinct now? Yeah, and maybe she has a little more of the wolf's blood, and right, and so she's a little more courageous and wild than she would have been.
Yeah, I think Sansa, without any lady in her, does not go to the Godswood. Would never have had the courage to do it.
Oh, that may be part of why she has a couple of voices in her head too. Is that because she actually does have Lady living her second life? That would make sense.
Yeah, I mean, like even when she is a little bit risky on what she says to Joffrey, I think that's a little bit. That's like we were saying after Sansa and Arya get to King's Landing, we start to see a little bit more of a wild side of Sansa comparable to Arya. But I think anytime we see Sansa, I mean, take a chance. It's. I'm not calling her a coward or anything. I just think that's a little bit of Lady giving her that reassurance that she can do this.
Well, I really start to like her once Ned is dead. Basically, her every chapter thereafter, she has at least some courage in her.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Right.
Although actually, in her very first chapter, she's freaking tracking Shadowcats to their lair. So
Yeah. But she had Lady by then. I mean, that's a little bit of that Lady bond. Even though Lady wasn't dead yet, it's still
right. The singers say there was another fool once who was the greatest knight of all. Florian, Sansa whispered. A shiver went through her. Sweet lady, I would be your Florian, Dantos said humbly, falling to his knees before her. Slowly, Sansa lowered the knife. Her head seemed terribly light, as if she were floating. This is madness to trust myself to this drunkard. But if I turn away, will the chance ever come again? This whole scene reminds me of something. Just a bit more, just a bit more. He licked his lips nervously. Will you put away your blade? Sansa slipped the knife beneath her cloak. Rise, sir. Thank you, sweet lady. Dantos is asking to be a knight again. She holds a blade in two hands, accepts his service, tells him to rise, addressed as sir. He thanks her. It's basically a re-knighting.
Yeah. Also, if you stop and look at that last sentence of the paragraph before, this is madness to trust myself to this drunkard. But if I turn away,
ah, ah. Jeez. But
Yeah.
Ned's out of the way. You like her? Now we know, Richard. Yeah, I didn't mean it that way,
Her chapters
but okay.
became her personality started coming out more in her chapters
Yeah,
after the death of
right.
Ned.
She just shows us flashes of bravery and growth in her character and so forth.
Yeah. But the last paragraph or last sentence, this is madness to trust myself to this drunkard. But if I turn away, will the chance ever come again? Kind of like Danny. If she
But look
turns
back,
back,
I'm
she's
lost.
lost.
But look back, I'm lost. Yeah, yeah. That's kind of similar. I like that. Your Lord Father was as true a man as the realm has ever known, but I stood by and let them slay him. I said nothing, did nothing. And yet, when Joffrey would have slain me, you spoke up. Lady, I've never been a hero. No Rhyam Redwine or Barristan the Bold. I've won no tourneys, no renown in war. But I was a knight once, and you've helped me remember what that meant. My life is a poor thing, but it is yours. Sir Dantos placed a hand on the gnarled bole of the hurt tree. He was shaking, she saw. I vow with your father's gods as witness that I shall send you home. He swore a solemn oath before the gods. Then I will put myself in your hands, sir. And his service includes an oath in the godswood. The stones have ears in the Red Keep, and only here may we talk freely. Only here, Santa said. I'll remember. She's a northerner. Of course
I
she'll remember.
wonder how much coaxing Littlefinger did with Dantos to get him to pull this off.
Yeah, yeah, he definitely and coaching, right, in terms of exactly how to appeal to her.
Yeah, especially the oath to the old gods is like the icing on the cake that kind of just
Oh
sold
yeah,
it.
oh yeah. Better if we are never seen together. Nodding, Sansa took a step, then spun back, nervous, and softly laid a kiss on his cheek. Her eyes closed. My Florian, she whispered. The gods heard my prayer. There's a theory that Sansa's wishes and prayers often come true. See Janos Slint. Sorry, Harry the Heir, you might be in for a fall. The songs about Florian and Jonquil were her very favorites. Florian was homely too, though not so old. She was racing headlong down the serpentine steps when a man lurched out of a hidden doorway. Sansa caromed into him and lost her balance. Iron fingers caught her by the wrist before she could fall, and a deep voice rasped at her. It's a long roll down the serpentine, little bird. Want to kill us both? His laughter was rough as a sawn stone. Maybe you do. That's a reasonable estimate of her state of mind.
Yep.
Where were you? Godswood, my lord, she said, not daring to lie. Praying for my father and for the king, praying that he'd not be hurt. Think I'm so drunk that I believe that? Well, this is just a rehearsal of the lie. She'll do better.
There you go.
You look almost a woman. Face, teeth, and you're taller too. Almost. Ah, you're still a stupid little bird, aren't you? Singing all the songs they taught you. Sing me a song, why don't you? Go on, sing to me. Some song about knights and fair maids. You like knights, don't you? He was scaring her. True knights, my lord. True knights, he mocked. And I'm no lord, no more than I'm a knight. Do I need to beat that into you? He's pretty creepy here, but he's also foreshadowing another creepy moment.
Yeah.
Do you like wine, little bird? True wine? A flagon of sour red, dark as blood, all a man needs. Or a woman. It's a nice callback to true knights. He
Yeah.
probably finds wine more reliable than knights.
Getting back
I'll get.
to two
Yeah, go
paragraphs
ahead.
ago, when he's
Yep.
talking about how you look almost woman, is he in love with her then?
He's starting to at least notice that she's turning into a woman.
Right. Well, he's protected her
Right, right. I mean, he
sort of in the
definitely.
past.
I think it's. I think it. At least at this point, it's more about the fact that he's trying to live. He really has always been trying to be honorable, right? So he's specifically doesn't go after Gregor when Gregor is without a home, right?
Right.
So he values fighting honorably more than killing his brother,
Yeah.
and he's poured his heart out to the elder brother, and the elder brother's convinced that he was all consuming of his hatred for and desire to kill his brother, right?
Right.
And yet he'd rather behave honorably. So I think looking after a highborn maid, a pretty highborn maid, is something that he would see as the path of a true knight. That he he hates real knights, but he actually does like true knights, right?
Yeah. Well, I
The problem
mean,
is he doesn't believe they exist.
well, just even talking about true knights when it comes to him in this chapter, what did you say? You got Sandor Clegane and Brienne of Tarth, and then slowly swinging Jamie back around.
Right.
There
Right.
are true knights in our story, even though they're not considered true knights. I mean,
Right.
Brienne's not
Right. And
considered knight just because she's female, even though she's probably the truest knight in the whole damn story. And then you got Sandor who hates knights and everything, but he is a true knight, even though he doesn't want to be called such. And then you got the path that brings Jamie back to what he was when he first got knighted, when he first got that white cloak, the kind of person that he was. What he wanted to be was a true knight, and his story arc is bringing him back around to that. So we got a couple of people in the story, but I mean, my money's on Sandor. Love the character.
oh yeah, the hound gave her a push, oddly gentle, and followed her down the steps. Just a little hint of his true desire to be her true knight.
Yeah.
Sansa flinched away from his gaze. Sir Boros was the worst of the Kingsguard, an ugly man with a foul temper, all scowls and jowls. That one is nothing to fear, girl. The hound laid a heavy hand on her shoulder. Paint stripes on a toad, and he does not become a tiger. Sansa's kind of an open book to Sandor.
Yeah. Well, I think it's funny.
She did flinch, but
Yeah.
so it's not like it's that hard to read.
Well, you got to stop and think about the brass balls that are on the hound. He said this in hearing of Sir Boris.
Yeah.
He didn't care. Like, yeah, you can paint stripes on a toad. I mean, Sandor is one of a kind, without a doubt.
Oh yeah. How is it you're not in your chambers at this hour, lady? I went to the godswood to pray for the safety of the king. The lie sounded better this time. Almost true. You expect her to sleep with all the noise? Clegane said. What was the trouble? So I like how he's immediately changing the subject. But anyway, fools at the gates, Sir Boros admitted. Some loose tongues spread tales of the preparations for Tyrek's wedding feast, and these wretches got it in their heads they should be feasted too. His Grace led a sortie and sent them scurrying. A brave boy, Clegane said, mouth twitching. Let's see how brave he is when he faces my brother, Sansa thought.
Changing the subject with Sandor, he's a lot more intelligent than people give him credit for.
Oh yeah. He's specifically trying to help her, right? She's slightly better at lying, but Sandor immediately adds the cover, and he's clearly laughing at Joffrey. He does not like the boy he serves.
No, he does not.
Why do you let people call you a dog? You won't let anyone call you a knight. I like dogs better than knights. My father's father was kennel master at the Rock. One autumn year, Lord Titus came between a lioness and her prey. A lioness didn't give a shit that she was Lannister's own sigil. Bitch tore into my lord's horse and would have done my lord too, but my grandfather came up with the hounds. 3 of his dogs died running the Rock. My grandfather lost a leg, so Lannister paid him for it with lands and a powerhouse and took his son to squire. The 3 dogs on our banner are the 3 that died in the yellow autumn grass. A hound will die for you, but never lie to you, and he'll look you straight in the face. He cupped her under the jaw, raising her chin, his fingers pinching her painfully. And that's more than little birds can do, isn't it? I never got my song. I know a song about Florian and Jonquil. Florian and Jonquil? A fool and his cunt, spare me. But one day I'll have a song from you, whether you will it or no. I will sing it for you gladly. Sandor Clegane snorted. Pretty thing, and such a bad liar. A dog can smell a lie, you know. Look around you and take a good whiff. They're all liars here, and every one better than you. So there's more foreshadowing, and we see that Sandor knows when people are lying.
Yeah.
Next, back to Arya with her 5th chapter, where she'll learn the line that she'll have to teach Raph and Wings. Hey, on a completely different subject, a few weeks ago, History of Westeros went through various theories and talked about them and stuff. It was absolutely hilarious to hear them dismissing a lot of things that we're pretty sure about. But I especially liked when they declared that Arthur would be with Aegon if he were still alive. They're so close. They're so close.
So
anyway,
History of Westeros doesn't put anything into Mance Rayder being Sir Arthur Dayne.
No, like I said, they dismissed the concept, and one of their best pieces of evidence is that he's not with Aegon.
Okay.
Oh man. Oh. If only they understood the story, they would realize that that's exactly where he's supposed to be as a Dornishman.
Well, I don't know enough about history of Westeros, and they're probably way better at this than I am, so I ain't saying nothing.
It's still pretty funny though. It's still pretty
Yeah.
funny.
Well,
I'm not disagreeing with you that they they know their stuff and so forth. I'm just saying if they saw the symbols of the vow and what that means, and they understood what Dorn represents, and that he's a Dornishman, they would realize that's exactly where he's supposed to be.
yeah. Well, I mean, you got those that have been doing YouTube for 17,000 years, and they read the book a certain way, and that's
Right,
the only way they read the book. And
right. Confirmation bias. It's hard to.
it's blasphemy to even suggest the opposite theory of what they get.
And that's our point, is that we believe that George would endorse opposite theories, that he intends you to take away multiple correct answers, and that's part of the point of the whole Scarlet O'Hara quote. In addition to the fact that we think that Lyanna has three kids on the page and one on the screen.
Yeah,
They
I
do
agree.
know their stuff, but I disagree. Exactly. Exactly. I'm not claiming they don't know their stuff, but I still think it's pretty hilarious.
Yeah,
because they don't see the possibility that Val could be the eldest star plus L, and that therefore he'd be exactly where he's supposed to be.
well, I mean, the seeing Aegon the Conqueror, the trio being reestablished in the story, I think it's an easy jump with the three babies born in the tower.
What right, Lizzie? Once you see it, you're like, oh, wow.
Yeah. Well, I remember the first time I read the book. Season 1 had just came out. I think they were getting ready to launch season 2, and then so I'm speed reading, trying to catch up with them and everything. And I didn't put a whole lot of thought into what I was reading. I was just reading. Basically, season 1 is a really good adaptation of book 1. It's not. There's things that were off it, but it's really good. So I didn't put a whole lot of theory thinking into what I was reading.
Sure.
That didn't come.
You're just trying to learn the story and trying to get through it and absorb it. Yeah, I think that's what most people are. And then my little brother in his first reread, he goes, oh, I think Lyanna is John's mother, and I kind of look at him funny. He goes, and Rhaegar is his father. And I'm like, oh. And I'd never been online, or he'd never been online looking for theories. It was just the first reread. It was just, you start to think about it. You start to say, okay, what's going on here, right? And so you're looking for an answer, and you're realizing that there's clues that Lyanna gave birth, right? And so you connect it to the thing you're looking for, rather than looking carefully to see what's the symbolism and the real intention here, right? And I do believe it's an intended interpretation of the books, and it's a correct answer as to what we have so far.
Right.
It's just not the best correct answer.
Did you see the update, the last one by George, talking about ripping up pages and stuff on chapters he didn't like and doing reread? Yeah, they just. It's within the last day or two.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I saw that. It's like a lot of people were mad. We want the book. We don't want you to rip up pages. So I'm scared that the original story that it was on track to be got messed up by season 7, season 8, and George was like, maybe I needed to rethink a couple of things I had in there.
Part of the point of this is that humanity might be able to unite briefly when faced with a threat, but then we'll go right back to fighting, right? There's too many clues that are clearly after the others are dealt with, that are foreshadowed, like the Eerie thing, right? The Eerie thing, there's foreshadowing that we're going to see dragons go to war against the Eerie after the Long Night is dealt with, right? Yeah. I mean, that's what I see anyway. And so I think part of the point is that humanity would be able to unite for a common threat once it became obvious and almost too late, right? Yeah. But even still, they'll go right back to fighting afterwards. So yeah, I do think that there's some of that is in there, right? That they didn't come up with that idea. That's something George has foreshadowed. And
Yeah, but I'm
um,
scared that the stuff that they put that
right
is
now
similar is going to make him change the path that he goes.
right. He's having second thoughts, and I'm like, oh man, yeah, you're right. He's having second thoughts, and that's part of why it's taking so long is that he keeps
Well,
changing his mind about things.
Dance wasn't as received as well as he thought it was going to be, just because people didn't understand why he split the two books. Uh, the all these people at one time, and then all these people at one time, and then meeting them back up toward the end. So I mean, I know he's a little. I think he's a little gun shy, and I wish
Yeah,
he wasn't. I wish he just stuck.
it's like Preston says, it's perfect until he puts it out, right? In his head, it's the perfect story, and he can't create the perfect story, especially when it's got conflicting seeds planted everywhere and so forth.
This is not a theory. This is just an idea. Because one of the characters that he said that he finished up their storyline for Winds of Winter was Cersei. And I think
That's not
Cersei.
exactly what he said. What he said was,
Kind
I
of, sort
finished
of.
a clutch of Cersei chapters.
Yeah.
And
I
that's not
think
quite the
Cersei
same as saying
died.
he's done with her. Well, he might be. He might
Yeah.
be, right? Loras could have killed her. Okay.
Yeah, I think Cersei dies in Winds of Winter.
Yeah, it could be. And
Yeah,
I don't know. It's weird though, because I really do think he's got all this foreshadowing for Loras, and I don't quite understand how he's going to be back in a position of trust with her, and then kill her. But I do think that's what's happening.
I think it might mirror the Jaime Ares scene.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's intended to. But that implies that he should be somewhat loyal to her, or at least they both think he's loyal to her.
For the same reason that Ares kept Jaime close to keep Jaime's father in bay, she's going to keep Loras close to keep the Tyrells in line.
And his father's hand of the king. He's the most powerful lord, propping up the Mad Queen. It's all there. It's just it's yeah. I mean, it's all there, but it's still it's hard to see how he winds up. And does she flee, and does she get rejected from? Does she get rejected from Rosby, and and then what? He shows up in the West.
She doesn't have to trust him.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. It's true. Yeah, I mean, he's still in the position of.
Oh, he doesn't have a blade. He does not have a sword. She has him near him without a sword, and that's why he chokes her.
That's why you're absolutely. Yeah, that could be.
He doesn't have a blade to kill her with.
Even from the King's Guard, that would make sense. If we take it a step further, and she says, "I won't allow blades near me, even from the King's Guard."
Yeah. Or specifically him. Yeah. So that would be the reason that he chokes her. I mean, it all kind of falls in place.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm glad we talked about that. It made it even more the right path in my head. So,
oh yeah.
Cool. All right. We got what, Arya 4 next?
Yep.
Fifth. Yeah, fifth. I like that she has a lot of chapters. Her chapters are quite well. But,
oh yeah.
All right, you good for Wednesday?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Lizzie, I appreciate you joining us.
Absolutely.
You were hilarious at book club. I didn't get to stay long. I think I got off at 10:30 to put Carter to bed, but we laughed so much in that 2.5 hours. It wasn't even, I mean, my sides were hurting sometimes. Lizzie, she drops one-liners, and it's just like a mic drop in the middle of a book club, just out of the blue. It's hilarious. But
she's pretty hilarious in our comments.
Yes, she is. I cannot wait to meet her in person. But we have 45 days till Ice and PowerCon. So as I said on Twitter, don't wait to the last minute in case you got to make last minute changes. But Wednesday, same bat time, same bat channel, Arya 5. And thanks. That was it. Valencar, have a good week. Lady Fizzle, have a good week. Swagger Dagger, James, Martin, all y'all guys, we do appreciate it. So y'all have a good one. See you Wednesday.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was so much fun, Lizzie. I really Book club is a blast. You need to join one day there, Richard.
I tried once, and I couldn't figure out how to get my audio to work properly, and I gave up.
All right, we'll see y'all Wednesday. Take care.
Okay.
Bye.